everyone, it's Rachel back with you. Hey, I hope that y'all had an absolutely amazing Thanksgiving. I know that I did. I know that I ate way too many mashed potatoes, but that is all part of the fun, right? That being said, hey, we are here. It is a brand new week. We have a brand new video, so I'm going to get right into it. Now, a lot of the videos on my channel are, hey, when you transition, X, Y, Z. When you transition, this is how to feminize. This is how to give yourself medication. This is how to get the right medication. Da-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da. Now, this video here, we're going to take a whole different look at things. The video we have today is all about when you probably shouldn't transition. Yes, everyone has their own reason for transition. There is a time, there is a place, and sometimes we're not in that time. Sometimes we're not at that place. So this is how to kind of realize, hey, maybe right now isn't the best time. Maybe this reason isn't the best reason. And so at this moment, we're going to kind of jump into that, kind of unravel this a little bit more. So first and foremost, this is a big one. Unsafe living environments. I know way too many trans people who, when they came out, got kicked out of their homes, lost their living situations, got evicted from an apartment if they were renting from a private seller, something like that. And y'all, that is absolutely asinine, but it happens. Unfortunately, there are unsupportive people. There are people who just can't accept who we are. And so, honestly, if you're not going to be in a place where you're going to have a safe living environment, where it's not going to be quite safe to come out, maybe it would be best to wait until you're in that type of situation. An example, I knew when I came out, my parents would not have been totally on board. Would they have kicked me out? No. I truly don't believe they would. My parents are good people. My parents love me very much, but this was a lot for them to wrap their head around. That being said, I transitioned when I had a solid backing, a solid financial backing, and, really was kind of more independent and on my own 2 feet. Now, on that topic, financial backing, independence, on my own 2 feet, yada, yada, brings me right to my next point. If you're going to transition, make sure that you have, financial resources. Make sure that you're in a stable job. If you don't have, solid finances, if you don't have a stable job, hey, maybe right now isn't the best time. And the reason I bring that up, if you look back a couple weeks ago, I made a video on the cost of transition. And I had mentioned that, my cost of transition had honestly been lower than I was expecting. But it was lower than what I was expecting because I have good health insurance through my employer. Had I not worked for said employer, had I not had this stability, transitioning would have been very hard. Honestly, it pains me when I see trans people who started their transition medically and then literally had to stop or pause said transition simply because they couldn't afford their medications. Like, that has to suck. That has to eat at you every day. And I don't know if I could handle going through something like that. So for me, make sure that you have that good financial backing and that job stability. As far as financial backing goes, we all know that here in the environment that we're living in, I've seen people get fired purely for being trans. Now, of course, there's, non-discrimination lawsuits, everything of the sort, but it seems like I've had a bunch of people who have stories where after they came out, their employer finally found something to get rid of them for, just randomly, performance-related issues that were never issues before they came out. Seems kind of coincidental, but unfortunately, it does happen. You can see stories everywhere of this happening. Luckily, that's not happened to me. So before you come out, make sure that you have those good financial resources. Make sure that you do have that job stability, that you are with a at least somewhat supportive company that is willing to transition with you, if that makes any sense. Number 3, and this is a big one. This is a big one. If you are transitioning purely just to appease or attract a partner, that's not a very good reason to transition. If you're going to transition, it needs to be something that you're doing for you. And biggest reason I say that, I have had partners come, I've had partners go. If you look back in my videos of dating, obviously dating as a trans person is extremely difficult. I can't speak for my trans brothers, but for my trans sisters, absolutely I can. It is an absolute nightmare out there. It is a minefield. Are there good men out there? Absolutely. I've had the pleasure of meeting a few of them. But unfortunately with the guys that I've met where they were good men, they were genuinely interested, they're in Baltimore, they're in Seattle, they're in Dallas, where I'm here in Kentucky. Like, that adds a whole different dynamic to it. And, you know, obviously that brings its own sets of challenges. Not saying it's impossible, it just brings its own set of challenges is all I'm saying. Big thing, and I know this sounds odd coming from Rachel, who, you know, has a big online presence. But if you're going to transition, don't do it for likes. Don't do it for likes. Don't do it for clout on social media. Because again, this has to be done for you. For you, your own personal growth, your mental health. When I first transitioned, did I ever imagine that I would have the social media following that I do? No, absolutely not. I never thought that there would be this many people out there that cared about my transition and about my life, but there are, I guess, and hey, I will take that as a side effect. I will take all the love and support that I can get, but don't transition just expecting to get clout on social media and be a social media influencer, because that happens to a select few in the family. It's not a guaranteed thing. It's not something that, you know, is guaranteed to produce a solid revenue stream. Like, it needs to be for you and your own mental health, like, bar none. At least that's my take on it, but that's where I'm at. Another big thing, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying with financial stability, a job with good insurance, access to a mental health specialist. If you don't have access to a mental health specialist like a therapist, maybe you need to just think about this. Not saying that everyone needs to go see a mental health specialist. I know it's helped me a lot. But I just think of the process, you know, like, I'm 32. I started transitioning a month before my 28th birthday. And when I started transitioning, like, literally what you're telling your body to do is, hey, you remember that puberty that we had when we were like 13? We did it wrong. So we got to redo that. So being a adult, going to work every day, going to your employer every day, paying your bills, doing all the adult stuff while also going through puberty, like, that can be a lot to handle. And that's honestly sometimes why I go to a behavioral health specialist, to help just make sure that I'm straight, that I'm still doing good. You know what I mean? Because it can be a lot to take on. Relationships, work, just general adulting, while also being in this state of puberty. Like, not saying it's a requirement. Honestly, I pushed that off for a while, but I got to a point where I needed it, and there's nothing wrong with needing that. And that kind of jumps me into my last point. It may not be the best time to transition if you haven't done your research. And hey, if you are here right now with me doing your research, hey, good on you. Good on you. But a lot of doctors in trans-related care are honestly learning on the fly. I know my doctor is one of the most prestigious doctors in trans care in the area that I live in the state that I live in the surrounding state area that I live in. He is one of the top tier doctors, and he will be the first to admit to me that he's still learning. When we are discussing my medical regimen, when we're discussing what we need to add, what my dosages need to look like, if we need to adjust this to adjust that, everything of the sort. It's literally what do you think, Rachel? What do you think? What would you do? How do you feel? And from there, we kind of tinker. An example, he had taken me off of one of my medications, and I didn't really like the adverse side effects. And so when I went for a follow-up, I'm like, hey, doc, I need this med back, and this is why. And he kind of thinks for a sec. He goes, yeah, cool, okay, not a problem, boom, done. But know what dosages kind of look like. Starting dosages, intermediate doses. Know what levels are good, what levels are bad. Know how you want your medication. Do you want it to be in a pill form? Would you rather it be injected into the bloodstream like mine? Would you rather do patches, topical gels, stuff like that? Like, know the route you want to take. And because at the end of the day, it's your body. So you kind of need, in my opinion, you kind of need to have a direction for how you want it to go. Because at the end of the day, the doctor writing the prescription is going to see you for follow-ups and checkups, nothing more. You're the one who has to live with the results. And so if you're the one that has to live with the results, you probably are going to like them. Or probably going to want to like them, right? Okay, so that is my video for the day. That is my topic for the day. So again, not saying that if you don't check all these boxes type thing, that you can't transition. It's just something that maybe I would think about. Just make sure that, when you do transition, that you do live in a stable environment where you are going to be safe, because that is most important. That you have the financial resources and the stability to be able to make sure that this is a consistent thing. That you are doing it for yourself and for no one else. That you have access to a behavioral health specialist if you want. And you know the path of your transition. You know how you want this to go because you did your research. Y'all, thank you so much for listening. As always, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. It definitely helps me out. Also, I am, just like I always do, in the description of this video, I am going to leave my Instagram so that you can reach out to me if you so choose. And I'm going to leave that link to my GoFundMe as my bottom surgery is closely approaching. I'm planning for June. It is just nice to know that I have that funding so that I will be able to make it through my recovery and everything clean as a whistle. All right, my friends, this is where I will leave you. Next week, we are going to start posting back on Tuesday, between Tuesday and Thursday, just like always. I'm a little late this week just because of the holiday. But with that said, I will talk to you next week. All right, my friends. I love you. Goodbye.